Welcome on into the Sports Collective, where we're just two normal dudes talking trash and spitting truth. I'm Hunter Stutz, joined by my co-host Sean Fitzpatrick, and we are so thankful for anybody out there listening to us today as we give our wild and wacky opinions on the sports world and all of the happenings there within. Fitzy, what you got to say?
That intro just made me think of that episode of It's Always Sunny whenever Bea and Dennis do the podcast on new technology. I don't know why. It's like the inaugural podcast, and they're just like, we're talking new technology today with no plans. Hopefully we're a little more prepared than that. But yeah, glad to be here, man. Yeah, this is something that we talk about all day, every day. So why not do it on a pod and hopefully get a few people to listen?
Yeah, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
If only we had the technology and ability to go back and capture all of those conversations that have happened over the last few years, put it all in here. But
yeah, I think I texted you 2 months ago about this, and then since then, there's been several conversations where I've had to stop and be like, "Oh, this would be really good for the pod," but that should.
You can't not say it. The conversations that have to happen.
They do.
And more will come as we continue on with this. But yeah,
yes, sir.
It's really cool to get this going.
Yeah, man, excited. So for those listening, we're gonna do the Sports Collective is gonna talk the Big Four: hockey, basketball, football, and baseball. Not in that order. That's just the four sports that came to mind. Today we're talking NHL and the NBA, the two sports that just wrapped up. And we can hop right into it. I will say in the coming weeks, we will be talking a lot more football. As you can see, Hunter's a big Chiefs fan. I'm a big Giants fan. Well, big is a relative word. I don't know. I don't know how much Giants gear I'll be sporting, but we'll see. But we'll save that for episode 2. But so that's the NHL Finals just ended. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Good for them.
Yeah, I suppose. And I'll tell the listeners right now, Hunter's a Carolina Hurricanes fan. I'm a Dallas Stars fan. We're going to get to those two teams later, not just because they're our favorites, but because they were the two teams that the Panthers and Oilers had to dispatch in order to go to the finals again. But let me just ask you, man, off the top of your head, why did the Panthers go back-to-back? Why did they win this series in 6?
Well, we've talked about it so much, and it's become kind of a cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason. It's true. You just get kind of sick and tired of hearing it at some point. But they're a phenomenal team.
Yeah,
all around offense, defense, goaltending. It's just consistently awesome. They have a core team that they've been able to hang on to long enough to put these two together. After their ship last year, they didn't fall apart. They didn't sell the team. They didn't scrap it. They're like, okay, obviously something's working here. Let's maintain. And they added a piece or two, especially late in the season.
Yeah, 1 or 2 that may have helped.
Yeah, but yeah, all around, just a solid organization from the ground up.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back, so they've been in the finals 3 years in a row, which is in today's NHL kind of nuts. But, you think a few years back, they're at this point where they're coming off a President's Trophy and they look really good, but they can't get it done in the playoffs. And it's kind of just, to be honest, kind of how we see the Winnipeg Jets right now. It's like, okay, well, you're going to kill it in the regular season, but don't worry in the playoffs. And then they trade Jonathan Huberdeau in a blockbuster deal to get Matthew Tkachuk from the Calgary Flames. The deal was bigger than that, but that was the main swap. And immediately the identity changes. They go to 3 cups in a row. They have 2 cups to show for it. As you said, they're such a great team. They're a nasty team. They are, we always talk about players of like, yeah, you'd love to have him if he was on your team, but you hate playing against him. That's like the Panthers as a whole. You would love it if they were your team. Hate playing against them. The Edmonton Oilers go to their second Stanley Cup final in a row. They lose again to the same opponent last year in 7 games, this year in 6 games. Why did the Oilers lose again?
Well, there's one clear and obvious answer to me anyway, and it's the longevity of their goaltending abilities is lacking.
Yeah.
They hang on to it through the regular season. They hang on to it through a couple of rounds postseason, and then it just falls apart. When you're pulling your star starting goalie pre-game, like not
Or when you're
he's having a
when you're calling Stuart Skinner your star starting goalie.
yeah, well, there's that too.
But yeah, continue.
Yeah, it's not just he's having a rough game. Let's get him out and see if we can get some fresh legs in there. It's okay. Yeah, you've been our starter. You've been our star, and you're also not starting today. So
yeah, I mean,
reverting back to those goalies, it's the same general concept of you hear in like the NFL. If you got two quarterbacks, you got no quarterback. You know, you don't know who it is. They don't know who it is. They can't stay fresh, can't stay in a groove, and it starts falling apart.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it a lot, you and I did, and I've said this for years with the Oilers. Until they get a solid netminder, I just don't see it happening. And, you know, you look at 2 years in a row where Stuart Skinner comes in with mediocre numbers and scares off the Dallas Stars. They can't put one in on him. And you're hoping like, okay, well, that confidence will carry over to the finals, and it just doesn't. Having said that, can't hang it all on Stu.
No.
You got to score. The Oilers did not lead they did not score their first goal one time, all 6 games. Okay, Connor McDavid, who's a stud, had 7 points in the series. He had 1 goal. All right. Leon Draisaitl had 8 points. He had 4 goals. After that, there's quite a big drop off. On the flip side, if you look at the Panthers, Sam Bennett, who wins the Conn Smythe Trophy, finishes with 6 points. 5 of those are goals. Yep. Brad Marchand, he finishes with 6 points. All goals. You know, the goaltending is a problem. I think also, you know, in this salary cap era, when you've got a guy like McDavid, when you've got a Draisaitl, when you've got a Bouchard, you become a little top heavy. Having said that, they're not the only team that has to pay their top guys.
Right.
So you got to figure it out.
Yeah, they're not the anomaly in that it happens across the entire league. Every team has to figure that puzzle out.
Yes. Yeah, you know, it's funny, and this has been talked about all over. Last year, the Oilers go down 0-3 against Florida. There's that amazing video of McDavid losing his mind in the locker room, telling everyone to dig in, using some other colorful language. They end up winning 3 in a row to push it to a Game 7, and then it's anyone's series. And it's just heartbreak after that. This year, he just looked mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he even said it. He was like, I'm just mad. I don't know. If you're Connor McDavid and you've got 1 year left on your deal in Edmonton, are you staying?
You kind of think, I mean, you see it either way, but you kind of think, yeah, like you've gotten there back-to-back years, a few tweaks, and it could be yours.
Yeah. I think the bigger question there is, where's he going to go? Like, I feel like any team he goes to, contending-wise, that is going to be able to make that work is going to have to just rip their team apart just to be able to afford the guy. We're talking about a guy who, on his next deal, is going to make between $16 and $20 million. Biggest contract ever in the NHL. So, you know, you see stuff all over, and that's what social media and the internet's fun for, is rumors. And, you know, like, but I saw something the other day that was like, had a picture of him in a Leafs jersey, and I'm like, oh yeah, he goes to the finals 2 years in a row with the Oilers, but he's going to go to the Leafs because things are going great over there right now. Yeah, I would say I'd say he stays.
Yeah, the teams that can afford him, he doesn't want to go play with. That's more of a on your way out of your career kind of move. I'll go ride it out with Chicago for a few years and you know, contribute, mentor some guys, but you know you're not getting too far.
I also think he wants to win it in Edmonton.
I think so too.
Like, I don't think. I mean, so let's say I'll just throw a team out there. Like, so let's just say the Carolina Hurricanes, because we're going to talk about them next. Let's just say they move all this stuff around and convince Connor McDavid to come win there, and he wins a cup. If you're Connor McDavid, does that feel as good as if you won it in Edmonton, the place that drafted you, the place that Gretz played? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And again, so much of that comes back. It's not just that he's been there. It's 2 years in a row, getting so close you can taste it. That's where you want to get that. That's where you want to bring that trophy home, claim it.
Yeah. The latest we've heard on Connor from his exit interviews and from other relative podcasts like 32 Thoughts is that he is going to talk to his agent. He's going to talk to his family. He's going to see how he feels. And basically, in so many words, said, I want to stay here. I want to win. I want to make sure me and the front office are on the same page. If you're Connor McDavid, you can say that. I don't think a lot of other guys can. If I'm him, I'm thinking about a bridge deal. That's kind of where I would stand with it, is like, hey, I'll sign for 4 years.
Yeah.
And maybe that kind of gets the front office to get in gear a little bit. If you sign for 8, which he very well may, if you sign for 8, the front office does not feel as in a hurry, but we shall see. Congratulations, though, to the Florida Panthers back-to-back champs. Sam Bennett just signed an 8-year, $8 million deal yesterday, so he's staying put. No word yet on Brad Marchand. I doubt he stays, not because they wouldn't want him, but because Brad wants to get paid.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
And I don't, if you're Brad, I don't think, like, he's got 2 rings now, 15 years apart. But this is a guy who took a discount with the Bruins forever just so they could stay competitive. He's on his way out. He's going to go get paid somewhere. And rightfully so for the little rat, I suppose.
He definitely came into Florida and made an impact. He wasn't just an additional piece that they picked up late in the season. He definitely played his part, and I think plenty of other teams see the possibility for them. If we add him, he's got a name, he's been around, but he's also still contributing pretty heavily.
I think the biggest thing with a guy like Marchand is, and we're going to talk about him here in a little bit, but you got to have guys who can perform in the playoffs. Brad Marchand's not going to get you 100 points in the regular season anymore. I don't think. Watch, he's going to go do it next year somewhere. But you need guys who can step up and score in the playoffs. And that leads me to the next couple teams we're going to talk about, the teams that we said were dispatched by the Oilers and the Panthers, respectively, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Dallas Stars. The Hurricanes, this is your group, man. This is your team. I mean, we don't necessarily have to start with why they lost as much as this is a consistent playoff team. What do they have to do to get over the hump?
It seems like they have a similar problem to Edmonton. Yep. We've got a goalie that's a little long in the tooth that is solid for quite a while in the regular season. And because of his age and experience and wear and tear on the body, he sustains pretty regular injuries. So we don't have that consistency throughout the season. Then behind him, we've got Pyotr Kochetkov, a great backup. But when he becomes the backup for too long, it starts falling apart. Yes. He's young. I think we've got 10 years between the two of them. Yeah, 36 and 26 Sounds years right. old. And what really needs to happen, I think, is Carolina needs to spend this offseason really shopping the market, seeing what goalies are out there that are kind of splitting that different, somewhere in the 30-year-old range with some good experience that is capable and can come in and be consistent throughout an entire season. I see the same the same kind of things happen for Skinner that happened for Freddie Anderson, and it's so mental. They're more than capable, but you get a goal or two on them, especially within a couple minutes of each other, and you can just see it happening. It all falls apart, and you're like, okay, here comes another 3 or 4 goals. It's just going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny doing some research before this pod. The Canes apparently are in play for Nikolai Ehlers, who's leaving the Jets potentially. Well, he's going to test free agency, and also Mikhail Granlund from my team because we can't afford him. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I mean, look, Nikolai Ehlers, I guess is one of those names that if you have a chance to go get him, go get him. I don't disagree with that. And same with Granlund, a gritty guy who's a veteran and can throw up some points. Having said that, if you look at the Hurricanes playoff scoring leaders, Aho 15 points, Jarvis 16, Svechnikov 12, Gostisbehere 9. I mean, yeah, you could probably use a little bit more, but at the same point in time, I don't know if scoring goals is that team's problem, especially with guys like Stankoven on the rise.
No, it doesn't seem like it is. In fact, I would say outside of the goaltending issue, there seems to be, especially being that Florida is such a problem for Carolina.
Yeah.
When you come up against the force that is the Florida Panthers and you are not matching their aggression, they run over you.
Yeah.
They are such an aggressive team. The way that they play, it's hard to as you approach a series suddenly become that aggressive as a team, as an organization. Carolina plays as a fluent and pretty looking team. The way that they move is nice, and you can say similar things for Edmonton. Like they're quick. They've got some nice stick handling that will make you just kind of drop your jaw in moments. And then you meet that force that is the Panthers, and they start just knocking you down, and you just can't meet it.
Yeah. Pete DeBoer, in what turned out to be his final press conference for the Dallas Stars, said something I thought was interesting, which was, we can't all just sit here and say like, oh, well, we're going to play like the Florida Panthers because they keep winning. It's really easy, when it stings, when your team gets knocked out by the Panthers or a team like that, you're like, okay, we got to get meaner, we got to get nastier. But that's not the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes like to hang on to pucks. The Hurricanes, like you said, they like to move. They like to be streaky. I think as much as I would love to see them pick up guys like Ehlers, Granlund, and they probably will. I mean, you still have to score in the regular season to get to the playoffs. I think, if I'm them, and I've told you this, I'm calling Los Angeles. And I'm like, hey, what do you want for Kemper? We need a goalie. But we will. We'll have to see. Jordan Stahl, captain, 36 points in the regular season in 75 games. Playoffs, 15 games, 3 points.
Yeah.
Is it time to start looking to move on, or do you just hang on for the rest of his contract because he's the guy? He's the captain.
It's definitely time to start looking. Whether or not it's time to make that move is a bit of a question, just because he is such a solid piece of the team, such a solid contributor, and has so much to offer. It might just be that what he has to offer more than anything now is mentorship and bringing up the younger generations coming behind him.
And those things matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you can't have an entire team under 30 years old and expect them to operate as a veteran unit that's moves with grace through tough situations. They might be the most effective scoring team there is, and they might have great defense. But when it comes to how do you handle hard stuff, even stuff off the ice, we're talking about dealing with the media and dealing with personal situations that come to light. That's not something
living by yourself for the first time ever.
Yeah, it's not something that you just instinctively know how to do. You have people that have gone before you that can reach back and help you, and in a lot of ways, that's what he's become.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we can lead into the Dallas Stars with this. I mean, Wyatt Johnston lived with Joe Pavelski for the first 2 years that he was in the NHL. And when everybody asked, well, like, why is he living with Joe Pavelski? The kid came into the league when he was 18 years old. Like, he's a kid. Like, you're going to put him in an apartment somewhere and just be like, well, now you're a pro athlete. So best of luck. We'll see you at practice in the morning. Yeah, I agree. That kind of stuff matters. Before we get to the Stars off season and them looking forward, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention, it's funny that these two teams are where we're at right now. These two teams had a pretty big trade at the deadline.
Yeah.
Mikko Rantanen. I think everyone knows the details. The Stars trade Logan Stankoven 2 firsts and 2 thirds to the Canes in exchange for Rantanen. And Rantanen immediately signs a 8-year, $12 million deal with the Stars. Okay, fine, sure. But it's the fact that this is the third team that Mikko played for this season, because he initially went to the Hurricanes from the Colorado Avalanche. This has been talked about on all the pods, but I just have to say it because it just boggles my mind. If you're Carolina, how do you not make sure that this guy's going to sign with you before you go trade for him?
Yeah, it was a pretty boneheaded move to go acquire such a valuable asset for your team and not do your homework, not lay the skeleton for this deal and make sure that it's going to hold up long term. Yeah, it was rough to see, and I think the only thing that makes it kind of makes it tolerable for Canes fans is the fact that in his short stint with Carolina, he didn't settle in. He didn't settle into a groove. He wasn't a contributor while he was there. So, had he stayed another game, who knows what would have happened. That might have been the game where he got there. But, as a fan base, we can say, well, he wasn't working here. So we made a move, and that move did work for us. But still, what could have been.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, for the Canes fans that I've listened to talk about this, and you especially, there was so much emotion around it. You lose Natchez in the deal. Everyone loves Marty Natchez. So it's like, at the end of the day, when I say the end of the day, where the Canes are at now, they came out with a handful of draft picks, Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven. They're not necessarily worse off for it. You probably call it a wash at the end of the day. It's like, all right, we got some good draft capital. If we want to trade that, we can. Taylor Hall's another veteran guy who's been around the league for a while. He'll be good in the locker room. Stankoven, as a Stars fan, broke my heart to see that kid go. He's a little spark plug who I actually think fits into Carolina's system incredibly well.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I think he knocked in 2 in his first game. It's just nuts. Which I have to say was so funny that everybody immediately is just like, oh my gosh, why did we let Stankoven go? He scored 2 goals in his first game. And it's like, okay, but relax. But that moves us to the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars lose their 3rd consecutive Western Conference final, 2 years in a row to the Oilers. It's hard. It's hard as a Stars fan, not just somebody doing a podcast. As a fan, you're like, this sucks. Go blow it up. Just enough. This just ain't working. As a person who just likes hockey, you kind of look at it and you're like, I don't know, sometimes the other team's just better. Now, there's more to it than that, I would say. But from your perspective, before we get into a few specifics, what did the Stars lack in those 5 games against the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, the main piece that anybody with eyes can see the Oilers have is Mr. McDavid. He's such an incredible skater. He's so speedy. He's so agile. He is beyond difficult to keep up with. And what he does is, as he is moving down the ice with such elegance, he essentially tricks people into thinking they can keep up.
Yes.
And he's like, come on and get me, chase me a little bit. And then he just throws on the brakes and cuts back. And puts the puck between his legs and yours at the same time, and he's done it to plenty of other teams. But that defense on a single player can pull you away from focus.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this during the series, and we talked about it during the finals. No one can keep up with McDavid. They just can't. I think that during game one, somebody asked DeBoer on the bench at intermission, or it was one of those TV timeouts, like, how do you slow down Connor McDavid? And he was like, I don't know. I think everybody in the league's trying to figure that out. When I watched the Stars, I don't know, trip him. When I watched the Stars play against him, and then I turn around a couple weeks later and I'm watching the Panthers, defend him, because McDavid likes to just fly up the neutral zone when things aren't, especially if things aren't going his way. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to turn on the jets and I'm just going to fly up the neutral zone. You can't catch me. I'm going to split the defenders, all that. Like you said, Wyatt Johnston, as much as I love him, cannot skate with Connor McDavid. Can't keep up with that guy. The Panthers, on the other hand, they know that they can't do that. So they're like, I'm just going to throw a stick out there, hit him, something. And you could tell that threw him off his game. But for the Stars, I would say they couldn't keep up with McDavid. Their scoring dried up quite a bit in the West Finals. Again. Mikko Rantanen is the Stars' leading scorer in the playoffs with 22 points. I don't think anybody, myself included, ever forgets the Game 7 against Colorado, where the Stars are down by 2 goals with 12 and a half minutes left to go in the third period, and Mikko Rantanen said, okay, nope, we're going to win. I'll do it myself. He Thanos'd that situation, if you will. Against the Oilers, the only person that could really score consistently was Jason Robertson, a little too late. Here's some numbers that's interesting for me. Mikko Rantanen leads the Stars in the playoffs with 22 points. Right behind him is Thomas Harley with 14, a defenseman.
Yeah.
And then Rupe Hintz with 12 points, Granlund and Johnston with 10 points apiece. I mean, your best players have to be your best players. You need more contribution. I think they were leaky on defense. The biggest question, though, for the Stars, and we can talk about this, is where do they go from here? They don't have a head coach right now.
Yeah, you got a big piece missing at the moment.
What do you think about the DeBoer firing?
It's interesting. Obviously, it's not quite on par with the Knicks move, but but I mean, when you see any coach that's consistently bringing a team to postseason, you have to kind of question exactly what's going into these decisions, because obviously there's more that goes on behind the scenes that we don't see. And you can liken a lot of it to like the Steelers, and I'm waiting for it to happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they're a good enough team that they make it to the playoffs every year. They're not a good enough team to win the Super Bowl. So they never get a good draft pick. They never get a ring. So, okay, how long is Tomlin going to be there before they're like, dude, something's got to change? Like, you either need a coach that's going to suck bad enough to tank, or somebody who's going to take us to the next level. And, maybe that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard on the surface to look at this and say a guy who got you to the West Finals 3 years in a row, and in that span was actually the best regular season in hockey 3 years in a row. You're gone. But there's, like you said, there's a lot more that goes into it. And these guys like Jim Neal and Tom Ghilardi, the owner, aren't shelling out millions of dollars to get third place, to get fourth place. A championship is the ultimate goal, no matter what LeBron says about ring culture, whatever that was. That is the goal. It seems to me he lost the locker room. Was Ottinger good in that series? No, not really. Is he the reason that you even got to that series? He's quite a big reason. So I felt like to have a very harsh response, a very harsh and prepared response about his goalie. He's like, he's lost 6 of his last 7 games to Edmonton. Going back to, it's like, oh, so you had this planned in case you lost. Okay, so it's his fault. I got it. I don't have a problem with him pulling Ottinger in the middle of the game, by the way, in Game 5. A lot of Stars fans and the Chicklets boys and all them were saying, like, how do you pull Jake Ottinger? I'm like, well, whether the goals are his fault or not, you let in 2 goals in a closeout game for the opponent anyways.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the pull, but I do have a problem with going out afterwards and saying, you know, it was his fault, which is kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, anytime any one player or coach is going to be singled out as the reason for a loss, I have great skepticism around whoever's saying that.
Right.
It's called a team sport for a reason. Everybody has a part to play, and I mean, obviously, there's the rare occasion where you can truly look at a game and be like, "Holy crap, this guy screwed the team." Like he is what took us down. That's not the case with him.
No, this is not the round 1 series of the LA Kings having a 2-0 series on the Oilers and then challenging a goal that one could say kills the chance of them having a 3-0 series lead. And then, we saw how it played out after that. Yes. A couple players to talk about from the Stars and the Hurricanes. Logan Stankoven comes in. Is this for the Hurricanes and the Mikko deal? Is this a guy that you're looking at locking up for 8 years? Because I am.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think he's an incredible addition to the team. He like you said, he came in and immediately established value and said, like, I not only am I capable, but I also mesh well with the rest of this team, with the system. He's so young. Get somebody at 22 years old to come in and be able to do what he's doing, and to have him for, like you said, the next 8 years would be an incredible move on their part. I think 2 of the bigger things that, or maybe 3, depending on how you view the Mikko deal, we'll just call it the 3 big pieces that Carolina has kind of let slip away in the last 2 years. Jake Gensel, it still hurts that they didn't do something to keep him around after last season. And then, of course, Necas for Mikko, and then they let Mikko go. So it's nice to see something in return that hopefully they have the wisdom to lock down.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing about it is that guys like Gensel, Necas, Mikko, all of them, it's different circumstances all the way around. None of them seem to say, I don't want to play for this team. I don't want to play in Carolina. I think everyone's circumstance is different. I think with Gensel, they kind of waited too long. Mikko, his whole situation is, look, I didn't ask to get traded in the first place. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm going to test free agency. So you may as well trade me, or else you just gave all that up for nothing. I think Stankoven's a young enough player who he gives me the vibe of somebody who just wants to play in the National Hockey League. Shouldn't be too hard to sign him, but obviously contracts cost money, which leads me to a crazy Dallas Stars rumor that has basically been happening since the day after they lost. It feels like Jason Robertson on the trade block. I get it. I don't. I get that these things happen, and I understand the salary cap. He's going into the final year of his deal as a restricted
what's he
free
costing
agent.
him?
Right now, he's costing $7.5 million, I believe, on a 4-year bridge deal he signed. He'll be a restricted free agent after this season, which means they still hold his rights. He's also coming off a season where he had 80 points in 82 games. He's a pretty natural goal scorer. He's 25 years old, I believe. This could be seen as a cap dump. This could be seen as them saying, well, as good as he is, we're not getting it done in the postseason, so maybe something was changed. Or this could just be nothing. Jim Nill, who just won his 3rd consecutive GM of the Year award last night, could be sitting there being like, I'm not going to talk about this because it's not happening. I mean, in your eyes, is that a panic? Is that a good move to even consider it? Or is it pretty silly all the way around, regardless of the salary cap?
I think it's silly. I really do. I think first of all, when you have rumors, it should be taken as just that until you have something to substantiate it.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's coaches that'll play the game, and maybe it's just out of a lack of experience where they start speaking into the situation a little too much, and it's the ones that have that experience. They're like, I'm not talking on this. Like, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
And
we're not moving him. I don't.
And unless you have unless you have a GM or head coach or whoever it is that's speaking to the press that has any kind of track record of deceit or whatever you want to call it, then I would say you got a trustworthy person there in front of the mic. I trust them until I got a reason not to.
Yeah, 100%. I don't. If I had to guess right now, I don't see that trade going on. I understand that they're up against it with the cap. Right now, they've got just around $1 million. So there's more moves that they're gonna have to make. They signed Duchesne to a 4-year, $4.5 million contract. Traded Mason Marchment for a couple draft picks. Signed Jamie Benn to a $1 million deal a couple days ago. Of course, with like up to $5 million in bonuses. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What are you going to get that's going to make it so worth it and make you better, right? This is not a team in a rebuild.
No, yeah, you're not trying to dump him off and pull in 5 new assets that are,
not proven.
Yeah, 20 years old and not costing you a whole lot, and they're not costing you a whole lot for a reason. There's a price tag on players for a reason. So, yeah, you're not just trying to fill bench spots for the sake of saving a few bucks.
Yeah. I've heard a ton of ideas out there of what they could get for him. I think that after next season, they're just going to have to let GM Jim Neal cook a little bit more and make his new contract fit. But we will see.
Yeah, it's what you pay him the big bucks for.
100%. 100%. Before we move on to the NBA, some other random off-season thoughts around the NHL. Mitch Marner looks like he's going to test free agency. Who's going to win the Mitch Marner sweepstakes?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, you have to also play the cap space game there too. Like, what's he going to cost? Who's willing to pay it? And also, is it somebody that's going to just scoop him up short term, long term? What's that going to look like? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a guy who is probably going to run you upwards of $13 to $14 million a season. 28 years old, hometown boy in Toronto. It's just not working there. I don't think he's happy. I don't think anybody in Toronto's really that happy. Maybe John Tavares, but I don't know. I've heard rumblings about the Kings, the Knights, and the Stars. That is hilarious on the Stars front. I believe that he might want to go there, but sure. I don't know how they make that work without gutting, half their. The Golden Knights, that would just make so much sense because it seems to be where a lot of these, random big free agents go. Tomas Hertl, Jack Eichel. Some years back, it was Mark Stone. I also, though, with the Knights, every time I haven't looked at their numbers, so I don't have that in front of me. And I'm like, okay, at some point you guys have to be out of money, right? Like, who is not getting, like, who's getting? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of wild. The Kings is another interesting one. From a hockey fan, I wouldn't mind seeing Mitch Marner play for the Kings to make that team relevant again, maybe a little more competitive in that first round.
Yeah. There's a handful of teams where you could say that if they just had that one extra piece that had some spark to it, that it could reignite something special there, and I think LA could be that.
Absolutely. Location is key, and if you're Mitch Marner and you're from Toronto and you've been getting to play with your hometown team this whole time, the location's going to have to be pretty enticing to go there. Money as well, but location matters. Are the Anaheim Ducks about to be relevant again?
I'm going to say no, but
no. Okay.
I mean, it sounds like you think so. What's your argument for?
So Jacob Trouba goes there last year in a trade. They get Chris Kreider. They make a trade. They trade Trevor Zegras to Philly for Ryan Poehling and a couple picks. Kind of a wash unless Zegras starts to play to his potential, and then maybe Philly is laughing about that one. Yesterday, or was it this morning, they trade John Gibson to the Red Wings for Peter Mrazek and 2 picks. The biggest thing for me is the fact that they announced their head coach is now Joel Quenneville, the man who was behind the Blackhawks dynasties. I don't know. You look at this all the time. You see a lot of off-season movement, and you kind of trick yourself into thinking that maybe this team's about to make some noise. Do I would say yes to my question of they're going to be relevant. That's not the same as saying that they're going to be good. Now they could be. Some teams go to nowhere. Fair. I think the issue for them is they're in the West, and the West is pretty packed. But I also think that, last year when I heard of a few of the names that were going to the Blackhawks, I didn't think they'd be a playoff team, but I did think that they would be a lot better, and that didn't happen. So this could be nothing. The coaching part intrigues me. Quenneville coaching the Ducks definitely intrigues me.
Yeah, and sometimes that's really I won't say all it takes. Obviously, there's other things that need to happen. But as far as taking that next step back into relevance, like you're saying, sometimes that is all it takes for that. Yeah. And I'd love to see it. I don't see it yet. I don't feel it yet. I'd love to see it. I want prove me wrong.
Sure. Yeah. Before we move on to the NBA, once again, got 2 more questions for you. We can get through these pretty quickly. One, what do the Avs need to do? The Colorado Avalanche. This is a team who was one of the top favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Of course, they lose again to the Dallas Stars. They have arguably the second best player in the league. Some would say the best, depending on where you're at. But Nathan McKinnon, they've got the best defenseman in the league, and Cale Makar could not get it done in 7 games against the Stars. What do you think?
It's hard to really pin down something with them. We've talked about a few different teams today, both of our teams, Edmonton specifically, about what it is that they're missing, what do they need to upgrade or change.
Yeah.
And with Colorado, for me, it's kind of hard to nail down one specific thing. And the reality is, like with hockey, it's not a finite sport. There's a lot of things that shake out in weird ways. You get a lot of weird goals that, with a quarter-inch difference would not have been a goal. And sometimes things just don't shake out the right way for you.
It's funny you say that, man. That's literally what my answer is going to be. When I thought about this question, I was just like, I don't know if they need to change anything.
Yeah, I think you change something, you run the risk of taking a downward trend.
Yeah. I mean, all those people after the Colorado series against the Stars that said Bednar's got to go, I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, he's won you a cup. He's not the problem. I promise you. What are you going to do? You're going to trade Cale Makar? I mean, you're fine. The hockey gods did not smile on you that night against the Stars. And that's not even as a Stars fan. I'm just saying that's like what you said. Hockey's a game of bounces. And the bounces didn't go your way. Significant move by the Avs. They do sign Brock Nelson to a 3-year, $22.5 million contract with an AAV of 7.5. I don't know if I love the deal. I also think they gave up quite a bit to get him, and they weren't willing to look silly on that one, so they locked him up.
Yeah, questionable move, but I mean, seems like their office felt like that was the right move to make. It's a little rich for my taste. But I don't think Brock Nelson's making that big a difference on your team.
No, but we could be sitting here at this time next year saying, "Wow, Brock Nelson just won the Conn Smythe." I mean, that's why I love hockey. You just never know.
Yeah.
Didn't know if I was not predicting that Sam Bennett would be winning the Conn Smythe. Nothing against Sam, but did not see that coming.
Wouldn't have predicted it as far as pre-finals series, but my goodness, once that series got going, I mean, you and I talked about it. You called it. You're like, he's going to take it, and sure enough, that man was huge for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we love the sport. Final question on hockey, because we already talked about Marchand. Are Austin Matthews and the Maple Leafs just destined to fail?
Yeah.
Let's just leave it there. Move on.
I can't say destined to fail. The skill and talent is clearly there. Obviously we're not diving into fantasy here, but I did have some Leafs on my team, back-to-back ships. But
true.
You can't deny the level of talent that's on that team. I think it's the same as any other organization that's made it pretty far and just kind of falls off. There's some changes that need to be made, and maybe they just haven't even identified what those changes are yet.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say destined to fail.
I mean, you're talking about a team who hasn't gotten out of the second round in this guy's tenure, and referring to Matthews. You're talking about a team who went up 2-0 on the Panthers and then choked it in 7 games. I don't have any problems with the Leafs as a hockey fan. I think, you hear me say this all the time. What do I always say? It's good for the sport when Canadian teams win.
Yeah, Canada, let's go.
Like, come on. I was rooting for them in that series, selfishly, because you, being one of my best friends, was a Canes fan, and I was like, yeah, Canes probably fare better against the Leafs than they do Panthers. But
all day.
My take on the Maple Leafs is, I think it's as simple as what we talked about with the Avs a minute ago. Not comparing them to the Avs, but they just need to do it. They just need to do it. They get in their heads. Maybe it's mental. Maybe it's these bounces. I don't know. I mean, I'm not counting Game 7 against the Panthers where they got absolutely clapped and just, immediately. We're talking 30 seconds into that game. You're like, oh, this isn't going to go well. No puck possession time. They're just getting creamed in their own zone. And who knows? Maybe Mitch Marner moves on. I'm not saying that Marner's the problem, but maybe Mitch Marner moving on and forcing that org to break that big 4 up and make some other moves. Maybe that does something, but I don't know.
Yeah, you see that with a lot of teams though, where and maybe it's more the fan base that expresses this, but you feel like there's a player that or maybe it's a group of players, but if you think of any one of them being lost, it's like, okay, well, we can't afford to lose them, but what it opens the door to, at this point in time with the future, it's unknown what it opens the door to, but as you approach that, when you lose that player, 9 times out of 10, there's a plan in place, and you can often see that there's a shift in dynamic in the team. There's the addition of somebody who can do whatever that individual wasn't doing. So I think Mitch Marner moving on could be really good for them.
Yeah, for both sides. And, one thing the Maple Leafs have going for them is it's definitely a place that people want to play.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to do it for hockey today. The NBA, we might not spend as much time on, but we will get going on this. The Oklahoma City Thunder. Hometown, baby. Let's go. Well, yeah. Not hometown. Neither one of us are from here, but we've lived here for quite a while in Oklahoma City. The Thunder beat the Pacers in 7 games, win their first ever championship. No, I'm not counting Seattle. I'm not doing it, okay? This is the first. Well, I just keep on hearing all around. It's just like the first championship since they moved to Oklahoma City. It's like, no, this is the first chip for the Thunder. And just leave it there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP of the league, scoring leader, MVP of the West Finals, MVP of the Finals, my goodness.
What a guy.
And on top of all that, he's had cameras following him all year for the next season of Starting Five on Netflix. I don't drink anymore. I haven't had a sip in 6 years. However, if ever there was a time that I would have a beer, it would be if I was in that guy's shoes after that season.
Yeah, that's it's more than cause for celebration.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. The Indiana Pacers come up short after an incredible postseason run, dispatching of the Milwaukee Bucks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks. Tyrese Halliburton does have an Achilles injury 7 minutes into Game 7, where he was 3 of 4 from the three and looked like he was about to be a problem, which, no disrespect to Halliburton, has not really been the case from an offensive standpoint in the finals. You're never really looking at him like, oh man, this guy might drop 40.
Yeah. You know, when he went down, there was, as a Thunder fan, and I'm sure as a Thunder fan base, there was something that switched in my mind that said, that game's over. Now, it did not pan out exactly the way I had in my mind. I thought they were about to go up 20 or 30 and maintain through the end of it.
Yeah.
Which is my first argument toward anybody who's like, well, Halliburton going down is why you want it. Indiana hung in there for quite a while.
Yes.
Siakam and McConnell coming in and just like doing work for a minute.
TJ McConnell. God. This guy. My dad my dad kept saying about him, if I wasn't rooting for the Thunder, that'd be my favorite player. And I'm like, okay, give me a break. Give McConnell credit. He goes up against the best defense in the league and just wrecks them in the third quarter multiple times, not just once. Case and Wallace can't hang with him. Caruso can't seem to hang with him. I agree with you. I do. As far as people who want to say, well, Halliburton got hurt, so that's why you won. Didn't really seem that way for a little bit. I also think that if SGA goes down, I don't know if the Thunder are winning that game. Actually, no, the Thunder are not winning that game if SGA goes down. I truly believe in Game 5 when Halliburton's calf first started, it was like, okay, he's kind of hurt. I told a few of us, I was like, the Pacers can win a game without him. They can do it. Maybe not a series. What else? So what you're saying, though, to wrap up that point, is Halliburton going down, the Thunder are going to win even if he plays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it may have been a little closer all the way to the end. I think it might have been a nail biter, one of those where the last 20 seconds on the game clock takes 15 minutes to run out because you got a million fouls to deal with. And it probably would have come down to a buzzer beater, at least a buzzer beater attempt on one side or the other, which is scary considering what Indiana's done at the buzzer. But
yes.
But I still don't think that him being on the court was going to be a decisive factor that gave them the Game 7.
Yeah. Look, I feel like it's the right thing to do to give Halliburton his props. He is a point guard in the truest sense. He runs that offense. It all runs through him. And there's no denying that when he did get hurt, their offense was a little bit of a mess in the second half. They're playing iso ball. McConnell's basically just like, okay, I'm just going to take to the hoop every play until they stop me. There wasn't really much of a game plan. Having said that, and you've heard me say this, you have to score to win, right? And so if Halliburton is throwing up SGA stats every single night, and then he goes down in Game 7, and you want to say the Thunder just won because he got hurt, I might be inclined to agree with you. But he doesn't.
If you're saying, okay, he's throwing up 40 a night, okay, then yeah, he was the contributing factor to either them winning if they took it and he was healthy, or he went down, they lost. Okay, yeah, if he was in, it would have been different. you look back at it, this wasn't the case.
No. Easy to say when you're the team that came out on top, but I have to say, I don't think the Pacers, in regards to the playoffs in their season, I don't think they have too much to be upset about.
Yeah.
Crazy good run. No one saw them getting there. I have to say, though, I got a little tired, even before the finals started, I got a little tired of the Pacers underdog thing. I didn't really get it. I'm like, they were in the East Finals last year. Like, they're good. I mean, why is everyone shocked they keep winning? I mean, I get it. Halliburton's hitting these buzzer beaters series after series, and everyone's just like, ah. But when they were like so underdogs against the Thunder, I was just like, I don't know, man. They're good. I'm not really that shocked that they're making a series out of this.
Yeah, I could see a shift, especially fourth quarter, second half of the fourth quarter in these games, especially the ones that were in Indiana, where you see almost going back to some hockey, like almost a Florida Panthers-esque type of aggression. Their defense, when it came down to it, was unmatched, and OKC just couldn't handle them for a little bit. Like turnover after turnover, taking off these passes and just slamming it on them, and that was something that you'd think if they were able to maintain for any more than just a sprint at the end, this is a very different series.
Yeah,
and it seemed like it was just something that they only pulled out of their bag of tricks when it got down to the wire, and like, okay, we got to do something. And that's something that they're probably gonna have to work on in this offseason, is a little more aggressive defense from the jump, or at least the beginning of the second half, give them a much better shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're the Pacers, you're heartbroken because you're not getting Halliburton next year. He's not playing. That's a very serious injury. 3 players in the East: Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, and Tyrese Halliburton, all with ruptured Achilles. Heartbreaking for the players. Exciting as a basketball fan because the East is now wide open. We'll talk about that in a minute, but to stay on the Thunder for just a second, I don't know if my wife would forgive me if I moved on from them that fast. And they deserve it. They're the champions. What a year. 68 wins in the regular season. They finished the year with 84 wins combined. I don't know, maybe because it's all we've been talking about and all the city's been talking about for the last week since they won. I don't even know what else to say about this team. However, we're on a pile. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is they're just going to get better. They're just going to get better.
I mean, they should. That's, barring the unmentionables, that is what should happen. We should see an increase. We should see, at the very least, maintenance of another 85 win season, and definitely a deep playoff run, if not another finals.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready to call back to back yet. Like you said,
that's bold.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't even know if I'm ready to say dynasty yet. There's a lot of, there's been a lot of talk the last few days on all the pods and and on TV. It's like the last few champions that won, everybody afterwards was like, "Oh, this is going to be special," and it doesn't always shake out that way. The Thunder have a lot more going for them than those teams did, with draft capital, with age. But you know what I think about every year? Every year when I watch the finals for the NHL and the NBA, the same thing hits me every single time. It is so hard to win a championship. You need a lot to go right.
Yeah, I'm not a statistics guy in the sense that I took statistics in high school and or college and paid attention or passed. But if I had to guess, you're probably somewhere in the 1 in multiple million chances of everything lining up perfectly between having all the talent, having all the coaches in place, having all the backups in place, not dealing with injuries, playing a team, having a schedule that works well for your team. If you have a crappy schedule, I mean, the reality is you're going to have to face the teams, but when you face them, where you face them, there's a lot of things that factor in.
Absolutely. And I think the thing with the Thunder is, yes, they are going to get better. You just have to hope that they'll enjoy this for a minute and then just get back to work. And they got a target on the rack now. They are the champions.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely added pressure, and as there should be. I don't think anybody, any team in any sport that wins a ship, that they should be given time off, so to speak, and given the grace to say, well, you won, so it'd be cool if you did it again. It's okay. Now we expect things. The league isn't going to say we want you to win another, but generally speaking, especially teams like Indiana, they're going to be like, oh, you think you're somebody? Come on, do it again. You won't do it. Show me what you got. And I think they're set up to continue with that.
Yeah. They also play in a loaded Western Conference that has gotten pretty stacked in the last couple of weeks. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, I mean, to kind of put a button on it with the Thunder, I would say magical thing for the team, magical thing for the city. You and I were at the parade. It was insane. It was crazy. The mayor's out there naming a day of the week after everybody on the roster. Congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I know that the best is yet to come for that crew. Alex Caruso is my favorite player in basketball right now. No one's changed my mind. I have his jersey. I think the player I'm looking forward to most next year would be Chet Holmgren. I want to see a full season of Chet.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, this guy missed half the season with a cracked hip or whatever it was. Anyways, like I said, congratulations to the Thunder. Cannot wait to talk about them more on this pod. So we had an interesting thing happen in hockey this year. Instead of an all-star game, we had a tournament called the Four Nations Face-Off. Now, you and I, we were excited about this because we love hockey. And we haven't gotten NHL best on best since 2016 when they last had the World Cup. And so you and I were excited. We knew about this. This tournament took the world by storm. Everybody was watching. You had Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland. This was something that I had my dad up to my house to watch the doubleheader of Canada, USA, and Finland, Sweden. You and your wife came by. It was a whole thing. I went out and bought I had charcuterie out. Safe to say that the Four Nations Face-Off was an incredible success, and we'll get to see a bigger version of that this next year when the NHL returns to the Olympics. You know who did not have a successful All-Star break? The NBA. And haven't had one in quite a while. So we got the news from the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, saying this next All-Star break is Team USA versus Team World.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, first of all, for the record, I had this idea in a Chili's 3 months ago. I was having dinner with my wife, and I was like, I don't know, what if they did World versus USA? That'd be kind of cool. I don't know, whatever. And yes, I know for anybody who wants to call me out that, yes, I know Giannis said the same thing. But, I mean, I don't know, man. Let me ask you, first of all, did the Four Nations Face-Off have that big of an impact that now the NBA is going to copy? And if this doesn't work for the All-Star weekend, what do you do if you're the NBA?
Well, first, I think the Four Nations Face-Off very well could have had that impact. It was felt by more than just the hockey community. I think anybody that's high up in any major sport was paying pretty close attention to what's happening there. It's a special series that you get to watch where all these teams that have guys that are used to playing either with or against certain guys that gets shaken up entirely, and you've got two guys that were at one point enemies that are now fighting for their nation, and they're linking arms and saying, "Me and you, let's go get them." And it's just not something you see, outside of Olympic sport, and even then, it's different. This being mid-season was just kind of a cool shake-up to the monotony and routine of the season. But yeah, I think it very well could have had a pretty massive impact, whether or not the other sports paying attention, we'll talk NBA specifically, are able to duplicate, which I don't think duplicating is going to be the right move. Obviously, we've had that conversation where breaking out country versus country, you're not going to have the same effect that the NHL had breaking out, but being able to essentially take that idea and tailor it to the NBA and where their players' roots have come from, I'll just be honest, I don't think they're going to be able to do it, at least not the first go.
Yeah.
I think it's going to draw a lot of spectators and a lot of pretty large audience of people who want to see something cool and they want it to work out. I think there's going to be a lot of disappointment at the end of that first run, and hopefully they learn a lot from it. And that's of course assuming that it goes kind of south. Hopefully they would learn a lot from it, and they could fine tune it and make it better, and it could become something really cool. I think the first run's going to be rough.
Yeah. It comes down to one word for me: try. Just try, and we wouldn't even be at the point where we need to do this for the NBA. That's why the Four Nations was so successful, not just because it was USA, Canada, not just because it was Finland, Sweden. No, because they tried. Now, hockey players are a different breed. They just are. Sidney Crosby pulls on that red sweater, and he's just over here somewhere. He's just this other guy. The Kachuk brothers pull on the USA sweaters, and they're ready just to bash bro it up. I don't think anybody is expecting, SGA, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic to be like, guys, this is Team World. We are going to go out there and give it our all. Like we talked about, that's why no one tries in an all-star game, because they don't want to get hurt. Having said that, you got to give me something if you want me to watch.
Yeah, and it's also not something that you're going to be able to foster that immediate rivalry that already exists in the hockey world, where you have these countries around the world and regions, really, but that obviously we break it out into four, and it's this mentality of, we're better at hockey than you. We're better at hockey than you. Let's go. And you see gloves drop at puck drop. Before somebody puts stick to ice, they're like, me and you, let's get after it. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see that heat and that fire. People are going to get out there and potentially play their hearts out, but it's not. It's just out of, let me show you how good I am. Not, I hate you and I'm going to beat you. It's a different kind of game then.
I'm reminded of Michael Jordan's final All-Star game. He hits this shot to tie it and send it to overtime. Again, not saying they were going full speed. They never have, but they were trying a little bit. There's a little more on the line. And then it looked as if Michael Jordan's going to be the reason that the East wins in his final All-Star game ever. And Kobe Bryant was like, no, man, we're not doing that anymore. Enough of you. And tried. And the West won. And Kobe won. That's all I want. Just a little pride. Just a little something. Like you just said, you're not breaking the countries up, right? So Team World is kind of cool from an Xbox standpoint, I guess. We'll see how it goes in person. Speaking of European players, the Dallas Mavericks made a questionable move, to say the least, and traded Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. This trade has been broken down and talked about so much since it happened that we don't have to spend too much time here. But they did that. Just have to say that. And
they did.
Now you've got Luka in LA. The word is that he's thinner than ever in the best shape of his life. Okay. On the flip side, the Mavericks have now Kyrie Irving, who's going to be coming off of a torn ACL. So maybe you get him back for the playoffs, maybe not. Anthony Davis, can he stay healthy? Oh, wait, did I mention they got the number 1 overall pick and got Cooper Flagg?
Yeah.
What?
There's zero collusion in pro sports. Have we ever talked about that?
I mean,
that's wild, though.
I think it's worth noting, I lived in Dallas for 30 years. I rooted them onto a title when Dirk was there. I don't have much ill will against them. Nico Harrison, that's a different story. But I do think that making a trade so terrible and then the basketball gods smiling on you and saying, here's a guy who has basically just reset your franchise. I mean, give me a break. Last thing before we go, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least bring this up a little bit. The New York Knicks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, furthest they've been in 25 years. New York.
Yeah, it's really cool. Good for them.
They lost to a Pacers team that was on a magical run, as Rick Carlisle said, which I thought was a pretty classy way of saying, like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have beat y'all, but we did. We're just kind of on this crazy run. They didn't really have enough depth. I guess you could say, Jalen Brunson looked pretty worn out by game 6, just pounding the air out of the basketball. Karl Anthony Towns did what he could. He looked like he was on one leg by the time the game was over. But all in all, furthest they've been in 25 years, pretty cool. And their answer was to fire Tom Thibodeau, their head coach.
Yeah, well, naturally. And what else do you do?
I mean, what?
It's one of those decisions that you can really rack your brain and nothing really makes sense about it.
This is not the Stars, okay? This is not Pete DeBoer getting you to 3 West Finals in a row and you kind of looking worse as they go and then calling at your goaltender, all right? Look, I get it. Like, I'm not trying to get on my soapbox and say, like, we've got to stop firing all these coaches. It's a business. I understand that. But not only do they fire the guy who's got them further than they've ever been, they didn't have a plan.
No plan. Yeah, and they're trying to throw one together. Doesn't look like it's going super hot.
They called the Dallas Mavericks and said, can we talk to Jason Kidd? And the Mavs said, no. They called Houston. They said, dude, go away. They called Minnesota, who just got to 2 West Finals in a row, and said, can we talk to Chris Finch? They said, no. Can we talk to one of your assistants? Sure. Bro, this is the New York Knicks. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it just is. It is. And, they've had a few conversations, specifically with some assistants. First, let's start there, which is just a slap in the face to your fan base to say, we got rid of the guy who's done the best by us in a long time, and we're going to bring in somebody with nowhere near what he had.
Right.
There are other options that they're looking at. Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown are coaches that don't have, again, close to what Thibodeau had. We're talking coaches that have been fired multiple times for good reason. We're talking coaches that can't take a team into a deep postseason run, which we look back and say, did Thibodeau just do that? Isn't
Did
that
he
what you
just
want?
do that?
Like, it's not like we're having to look back and say, well, yeah, just, it was just a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago that he did good by us. It was like just now, this
Just
last season.
And if I'm being honest, I mean, this guy should get to keep his job for the Celtics series alone in round 2, knocking off the defending champs. I know Tatum got hurt, but the Celtics weren't winning that series even if Tatum's healthy. I'm saying it.
Yeah.
You knock off the defending champs, the team that everybody, myself included, had going back to the finals out of the East. Get to it's mind-boggling. And again, it's him getting fired is not what shocks me as much as the fact that they had no backup plan. And I know I'm repeating myself now, but coaches getting fired in sports nowadays is not very uncommon, unfortunately. You know that Mark Daigneault, the coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder, is the 5th most tenured coach in the league, and he's been there for like 4 or 5 years. That should tell you something. And Tibbs gets them to the East Finals, doesn't get it done, but does his best, I guess. And their answer is to fire him, and now they're going to go, like you said, I mean, you're not going to, whoever you bring in, they're not going to have his resume.
No, they're not. Yeah, again, going from a coach that just took you as far as he did, the furthest you've been in a long time, and like you said, dropping into a situation with zero backup plan. And then your next move is, let's see. Obviously, you mentioned that they reach out to people who are like, no, we're cool. But then the people who will say, yeah, we'll talk to you, is like the low guy on the totem pole, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's the new guy at the company that says, hey, you want a job as manager? And he's like, heck yeah, I do, man. I'd love to have a shot at that. I got no experience, but yeah, I'll try. And I'd be absolutely shocked, first, if one of them gets that role, but second, more so if they get anywhere close to the season they just had with that coach.
Which was going to be my closing question. If with the injuries to Halliburton, to Tatum, and to Dame Lillard, if the Knicks keep Thibodeau, I'm calling them the favorites in the East. Are you?
Yeah, I think that's pretty.
It's not even a question, right? I'm not saying that they're going to suck next year. I mean, well, I guess I am kind of saying, I don't know. They're a playoff team next year. I would say they've got enough talent for that. It's a wild thing, sports, but we do love it, which is why we do this on the Sports Collective. Anything else, my friend?
I think that does it for today.
Good deal. Well, for those of you listening, thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe. Next week, Hunter, what are we talking about next week?
Oh, buddy, we got a little bit of NFL draft recap. We're going to talk a little preseason for the NFL, some big shifts, and we'll see who's going to be a real threat this coming year.
I like it. Maybe we can propose a trade on there for one of the leagues we're in.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, my friend. Well, I will talk to you soon.
All righty.